5 years, being with everything that's happened. Uh,
If there are time and events where major things happen and major changes happen, you have to address that because that's why it's there. Because each and every event is different in a different time frame of your life. So you cannot sum up 5 years to one because in each one, that's what created the whole. Get it?
I get what you're saying, but
I'm just saying if there's some major events in there that it was like some fucked up times, then it you have to, just let me know that. So.
like all these events share one thing in common. To help me get through it. And I'll say that one thing that I had in common with all these events was that even at an early age, I had an understanding of what was going on. So being that it wasn't like I was a lost child and everything just happened. Like I never knew what was happening and I was just there. It wasn't like that. It was like I knew what was going on, and Cause you told me. I mean, you told me. I also could see signs like with my grandma. I knew what was happening. I'm not a fool. I may have been 13, but I wasn't a dumb child. So I knew something. I mean, you see anybody in a wheelchair progressively losing hair, kind of, put two and two together. You might not know it's cancer, but you can obviously tell they're sick. That, well, with my auntie, also, that was, you could see it, we noticed the signs early. She stopped eating, started sleeping more, all that. So I was like, we could tell she was sick. But, we didn't know what it was. We just knew she was sick. So when it did happen, we kind of had an understanding. Well, I kind of had an understanding of what was going on. Even though I was, just kind of in the background of that situation. But I knew. And for my grandma,
that one I want to touch on. I want the raw for that one. Because for me as a parent, at that moment, I didn't know that Colin anymore.
What grandma you talking about there?
Your father's mother.
Oh, no, I wasn't talking about that one. I was talking about
Oh, you talking about my mama.
Yeah. For that one, like I said, I grew up pretty fast, so I knew how to drive, and I kind of knew how it worked, and I know how things play out because I've seen it before, so when that happened, I can kind of visualize what happened in a sense in my head, and, that was something that was, something you could have avoided, but, you couldn't avoid at the same time. You feel me? It was just, basically, a consequence. You can't really, I was hurt, but, I couldn't really be mad. I had to be more so hurt than mad. And, you feel me?
At that time, how was I?
Oh, I don't know. You was going through something. You was
You want to know why?
Yeah.
Because see, you didn't know how it felt, how to really feel about the accident. I had to watch it.
Yeah.
And it was avoidable.
Yeah.
That's what hurts me. It was avoidable. And it turned me into, I don't know. But go ahead.
No, yeah, with most of these situations, like you said, you just said something 2 seconds ago. You was what was it you just said? You was I just forgot the word. I had it in my head, and then, because you guys said it, and I was like, oh, yeah. I forgot now. Anyways, the epilepsy one, that was probably the toughest one. Well, yeah, that was probably the toughest one. Because that one I didn't per se have an understanding of what it was or what was really happening. And it was like, it was a shocker to me, you know. Because, like, I think you had, like, your first seizure that I remember. We was living in the ranch at that time. That was when you fell in the closet. Yeah, I remember that.
And we never, at that time, thought anything of it. We just thought I was working too much.
I mean, that could have been the case, too. But, yeah, I remember that. That was the first one I ever remember. I think the one that hurt the most was the one... What was it? It was the one at the old house when you fell right there by the couch when I was in the shower.
Okay.
Yeah, because like all the other ones, you feel me? You just like fall and you like you just be there, like you won't move. So it wasn't that bad. That one you started shaking a bit, and it kind of messed me up. I said some things. Yeah.
I mean, I would. I heard about it.
Nah, yeah, I said some things, and then you stopped shaking when I said it, and I was like, oh, she heard me. You know, because it was no way. That was probably the tougher one, you know. Even though we wasn't necessarily in a bad place at that time. You know, we were in a decent situation.
Yeah.
So that wasn't, like, the environment wasn't really an issue at the time. What else we got here? That's, like, those are some key things. I mean, I can go back and talk about, you know, birthdays have never really, you know, been my thing. You know, I enjoyed my birthday as a kid most of the time. You know, it was always good, besides the fact that it always rains on my birthday.
Always.
You know, so...
One year it didn't.
Yeah, so, you feel me? It always rained on my birthday, so the party is, you know, it's real short. You gotta get in and get out, because, you know, the rain coming at some point in the day.
Yeah.
Unless we finna get wet or something. You know, we had to look.
Yeah, you know, we ain't
water
mind.
balloons. Yeah, we was fine with the rain that day, because we were gonna get wet
all
anyway.
the bubbles in the thing.
Yeah, you know, but then birthdays, you know, as I hit that key number right there, 13. As I hit 13, birthdays started to just go down, you know. When I turned 13, that was I could tell you the exact date. It was 10 days after I buried my grandma. So yeah, that was a tough birthday. And
so your 13th birthday, you buried your father's mother, 10 days
before my birthday. Yeah.
And what did that do to you?
Honestly, like her death as a whole, at first, you know, I was just like, me with deaths, I don't really, you know, it don't hit me until I physically see it, you know. So you can tell me somebody died and I won't really have no reaction to it. Mm-hmm. I just be like, oh, like, I'm sorry, you know, but I don't really feel anything at that
immediate reaction is not you per se.
Yeah, and you know, then when I did see her, that was a tough one. Me and my grandma was real close.
Yeah.
Even at that moment, it was like I was living with her a while before that, like literally like a couple months before that.
Cause we was in hardship.
Yeah, cause we was in a little hardship, so that was tough. You feel me? Then, you know, you gotta think about all the other things. Be it I was living there. Gotta think about taking care of little cuz, helping auntie out, you know. Those was like some key things. It was like a big question in my head. When she did die, it kind of questioned my faith on another level. When I did see her, I was hurt. I was kind of like, God, why? Like, why my grandma? Or like, why at this time? And that kind of hurt because, like, right before I moved out, me and her was talking, and I was like, "Hey, grandma, I can't wait till you see me make it to the NBA." Right? And it was like a couple months before that, and then she ended up dying. I was like, I had a lot of hate for things. Yeah, that was it made me hate a lot. I ain't even really want to play sports no more. So that was tough. Definitely played a key part in my life because at that time I had my own problems. You know, with my health, I was basically living on the edge for a good little while. So being that my health wasn't even at 100, you know, but then she died, and I was just like detrimental to my health, you know, because I had a lot, and I was like, honestly, what am I living for? You know, I just lost my grandma, my day one, you know, and I'm already not healthy. I'm already struggling, so that was tough, you know. But it helped me, you know. It helped me a lot become a better person, you know. To value things more. Even though as a kid I definitely valued things. You know, I wasn't ungrateful or none of that.
No,
I appreciated everything I got. So that just showed me to appreciate things more than what I was already doing. Be glad for the family I do have, you know.
And, you know, when you say family and you said you don't hate for things, how did that, after that, affect your relationship with your father's side of the family after her death?
To be honest, I really didn't. After my grandma died, I didn't really talk to anybody. Not even my dad. I honestly, at that moment, I wasn't really best terms with him.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't help the situation either. So, you know, with her death, I kind of separated myself a little bit. Not even just from that family, from like people as a whole. Definitely, probably had like mild depression, and didn't even realize, you know. I got super small. I was like, I wasn't eating much. You know, I'm like a kid. I'm always smiling. So to see me not smiling.
So at 13, that smile got wiped away.
Yeah, it was gone. I was always in a dark place, honestly.
Okay.
Like,
now with you in those dark places, where did you? Cause see, as you continue, you're not. I don't think you're realizing that you're moving on. And how? What was it? Who was it? What was the quote? What was it that drove you to keep going?
I'll say what drove me. Being, you know, like I said earlier, appreciating things in life. You know, I had to be appreciative of my life. The fact that I even had one still.
Big facts.
So, you know, I could dwell on it for a little bit, but, you know, at some point I gotta move past it. You know, you can't bring back the dead, so you gotta let it go. And, you know, I had to realize that early, because, you know, I still had to go to school, and I couldn't just let myself drop dramatically. And, you know, I'm a good student, you know, I'm an honest student and all that, so I couldn't afford to really be in that place forever, because then, you know, that'll affect me a lot. Not even just academic wise, you know, sports. I had to, you know, take a step back, regain my love for sports because it was lost.
So you lost a lot of valuable things within that time period from not just her, but life itself at that point.
Yeah.
And to not have, as you could say, you cut off everybody, even your father, the one person you felt that you should have been able to go to.
Yeah, me and him, we had our differences. You know, he was more of the.
But no, you know, at that moment, because see, this is a point that you were broken. At that moment, where was the problem that you felt? I could cut off everyone else, but I need this support. I need this comfort because it hurt.
I have to say it'd be with the people in the household with me. You know, my mama, my auntie, my cousins, really my brothers, honestly, and my other grandma. Cause you know, at that moment I only got one, so you gotta appreciate the fact that you got her. And you know, we all had our hardships in our household, so we was all getting through it in different ways. You know, we all had our own coping mechanism to get through stuff. So, you know, my mom was like the biggest key factor in all this. You know, being that I was young and we went through some things, and you know, she told me she was woman enough to even tell me this type of stuff. You know, 'cause that's something you don't really want a kid to know, but you gotta say it anyway, 'cause you know, you can't let them just grow up and not know what happened in their life or why things the way it is. So, you know, now that I'm 18, I understand a lot more. I mean, honestly, before 18, like, I say like 15, 16, I understood a lot because, you know, I have been through a lot. So, you know, my mama was like always there, and she was like she was always being a strong woman, you know, being rock solid, you know, making sure we all have what we needed, and you know.
And you know, I tried my hardest, and I want to make sure that I didn't break anything because I kept it 100, as they say, because this world is cruel.
Yeah.
And I didn't want you living a fairy tale life. I always made sure that you understood who we were and where we were.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And that definitely helped me now. That, you know, that's the person I am, because I understand things for what it is. You know, I can go talk to people in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and we've been through similar things, and I'm only 18, and I'm like, I understand what you've been through.
And that's as they would say, calls you seasoned.
Yeah.
You seasoned. And, you know, knowing your mother comes from a church background, it was my choice, and you know, choices that I made that I felt at some point you paid for. So, you know, this interview is just more like the understanding of the man you are today, because I knew at 13 it was going to be very, very hard to raise a young king after being traumatized with something that I had already experienced.
Yeah. I'm not gonna depreciate it in anything, you know, make it seem like it was not traumatizing. It was definitely traumatizing, you know. But that traumatizing moments in my life. Those moments in my life really helped shape me because, you know.
I noticed that you keep going around this question, and it's like, did you not feel that you can go to your father at that time? Because the relationships were so close, as you indicated, you said.
Yeah.
So it's like 3 peas in a pot. So you only speaking of the 2 peas and you done lost a pea. Why you felt you couldn't go to him at that time?
Like I was saying
with
earlier,
the differences.
We have our differences. We have our own ways of seeing things, and I didn't really necessarily agree with the way he's seeing things for the most part. Especially, my separation kind of came with my grandma. The way he coped with it, he was more of a, oh, you know, everybody died type of thing, and I'm like, this your mama who just died, but like you wasn't even cool with your old boy, so you don't even really know, bro, like that. You feel me? This was like your day one. You feel me? And you just like, I get you might be hurt on the inside, but right now you acting real tough for no reason. Like I didn't understand that because
at
like,
that time you needed him.
Yeah, I'm just as close to her as you is with her. You feel me? We pretty much, me and you was like pretty much like the same person, just slight differences. You know, we see things a little differently. Our mindsets a little different. But for the most part, we kind of share the same thing. So it was kind of bothering me that he's seeing things differently. Well, not differently. I just necessarily didn't like the way he's seeing things. So I kind of distanced myself from him. And, you know, he had other things going on. I don't necessarily like talking about those things because, you know, that's his business.
Yeah.
But he had other things going on, so I was just, you know, I was starting at that age really to not rely on him for much.
You felt like at that time, with everything going on, that you had been isolated.
In a sense.
That you no longer meant what you meant before.
Yeah, see, because...
That's because we speaking on it because of value.
Yeah, see, well, I'm an only child, so, you know, I had both parents. You know, I got and did whatever I wanted because I had both of my parents, and I was the only child, so I could do anything, to be honest. So we're like, not necessarily with the separation of them, because the separation of my mom and my dad didn't really affect our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
It was still as close as possible. It was, you know, moving past things. You know, he kind of got distracted since it's, you know, other things, and, you know, kind of left me in the head. So I felt like...
No. I need you to bring that out and say it, because that's the piece that hurt. He what you?
He kind of like left me.
He ain't no kind of like, because you saying kind of,
okay,
but you feel because you tearful and it shows. You just, the interview is to get it out, to get over it. We're moving forward. This is the story. This is the you. You have to be able to face it in the face and say it. Because you 18 now, you man. At 13, you may have wanted to say it, but you're 18 now. You can say it for yourself. So just say it, because you love him, so you want to protect him. He know you love him, but say it because it hurts you. Because as long as you keep saying kinda, that kinda gonna stay there. He what you?
I was left out. I felt that I was left out. Being that he had his new life, and I felt left out because, you know, I wasn't used to it. I'm not saying that he did it on purpose, but it could have been unintentional, but I still felt left out because, you know, I'm used to him being right there. You know.
But I mean, y'all live down the street.
Yeah, we did live down the street. That was the funny part. But I wasn't, I was 13. I couldn't drive. So it wasn't on me to make things happen, So.
And you couldn't walk because the neighborhood was not safe.
Yeah, so that was,
And at that time, what sport were you in? What sport were you in at that time?
I actually don't know.
It was basketball season.
Oh, yeah, that was basketball season. Basketball season was something that at that moment, we can definitely see the distance between the two, me and him. Because at one point, he just stopped showing up to my games. And that hurt. That's probably like the biggest thing that hurt me,
Okay.
Him not being at my games. I mean, honestly, you don't gotta come see me at my house, But like when I'm at my games and I'm looking in the stands, everybody got their parents. And now I'm just there with my mom, My dad nowhere to be found.
But I was 10 toes down.
So that was kind of tough. That
Screaming, no voice, hoarse.
Yeah, that was probably one of the things that hurt the most.
So that is a piece that played. Cause see now we finding the broken pieces so that we can fix and put together to the best with God help with what we can do. So that is a piece there. There's a brokenness. Not only left out, but now you don't show. So that's piece number 2. How did you feel having to see people, because like I said, see people react to your mother as stern as she was during that time?
Like in general, or like sports based?
And it could be in general. It's sports based. You could put it all together.
To be honest, seeing my mama, being that she's a woman, a lot of men didn't really care to hear her opinion on most things. So, my mom was the one who pretty much trained me, taught me how to play basketball for the first steps of my basketball career before I had a coach. Shout out to Coach Ryan. That man really helped me. He helped me become a better person more than a better basketball player, to be honest.
He played a big role at that time because he also knew you personally.
Yeah, but he was one of those people that actually cared to listen to what my mom had to say. Unlike other coaches, they was like, this is my team type of thing. They do what they want, and she wasn't really going for that, honestly.
Don't do me like that. I was just,
she's saying.
I mean, but I was a sports girl.
Yeah.
So I played the sport. It's just, it was never fair, and I knew it wasn't gonna never be fair. So I knew I had to fight.
Yeah. So she saw the potential that a lot of people didn't see. Being that I'm a pretty quiet kid, I don't like to speak up much.
Like right now, speaking really low.
Yeah, I don't really like saying much, to be honest. So I just kind of go with the flow. What happens, and my mom is like the complete opposite of that.
No.
She don't necessarily just go with the flow. She gonna let you know how.
I'm a challenger.
Yeah.
I'm gonna challenge it, but in that sense of you growing within your own growth and seeing me, you gain too.
Yeah.
Because at some point, I no longer had to say anything. You challenged.
Yeah. See, that was, that was when I was younger. I mean, now it's like.
But you have to realize it wasn't the fact that you were younger you have broken. Remember, during this time, those things are happening. And see, those common things sometimes happen to kids and they don't know how to deal with it. They don't know how to keep playing the sport, how to get away from, like you say, the darkness and isolate.
Yeah. That was still in that time being, so I wasn't necessarily the most stable person in the mind. So I really didn't care, to be honest. I was just out there. I really didn't care. I just wanted to go, be done. Go again, be done. Just like a daily cycle. I was just like, I don't really care. So that's why I said I had to take a step back, look at it, because if I didn't really care, why would I still playing? Wasting people money and things of that sort, wasting people time. So I had to step back, look at it for what it was, accept it. Not
and
necessarily say move on.
And as much as I tried to encourage you, it became a motivation for you, a drive. Because before, like you said, you weren't naive to what was going on. You knew what was going on.
Yeah.
But there were conversations that took place with you and her before that end. Conversations of encouragement and never to stop. But at the time of the pain, you could not remember those things because the only thing you felt was pain. So when you did step back, that reflection that you seen was just then what? She began to pop in your head every game after that. I noticed the difference. You became more hungry, more eager. So it was like now I started to ask you, I wanted to ask you at the time, why you want to win so bad? With knowing you love the sport. But it was just something else going on.
It was mostly, at that point in my life, I pretty much based everything off my grandma. Everything was like for my grandma. Like I had said before, I told her, I can't wait for her to see me, in the NBA or the NFL. So everything at that point was pretty much for her. Being that she was gone at that time, I was like, you gotta have a purpose in everything you do.
Oh.
So,
With facts, come on now. You spit facts out here like that.
So I had to realize what my purpose was when I took that step back. And it became my grandma.
What she taught? I need to know what she taught you in them younger days when you had her in your life. What did she teach you? What kind of person she was?
My grandma was something else, to be honest. That lady, she was a woman of her word, for one. Her faith was always strong, always. And being that I was with her all the time, it rubbed off on me, a lot. And my faith, literally, I had to.
She was a very giving person.
No, yeah, 100%. She did for the community, always. Not even just the community, people out of state. All that.
Hit the road.
Yeah, she did for God's people. That's what she did. God used her as a vessel, and it definitely worked.
And as you was molding, he had you on that heat next to that vessel.
Yeah, and I was right there.
And that vessel was just rubbing and molding. And it created another vessel of purpose. So with that determination, that dedication, how did you deal with school?
Um, School was, I was a I was a very popular person in school. Like very popular. So in that time when when I first lost my grandma, I was just like distant from everybody. I didn't necessarily like people. Yeah, I'm being honest here. I didn't like people. My grades dropped dramatically. I mean, I was never a kid to get in trouble, so I can't say I was getting in trouble because I wasn't. I was to myself, and I just really didn't. I didn't have a focus in school. I was just there, go home.
Until that phone call come in. And when that phone call came in, and I had to go into that meeting, I knew we had a problem. And you were very quiet. You still was not open about what was going on inside of you. As much as I tried to put you in an environment to tell, you wouldn't. And I didn't press for it because one thing I noticed in men is when you press, they push.
Nah, yeah. Oh, that's the way.
They push,
Nah,
and I didn't want to push you.
I mean, I was still like, I was hurt, but I was also mad, that the fact that I lost my grandma. But I seen a quote the other day, and it was like, you can't see clearly through boiling water. And I was like, I like that. It was like, you gotta wait for it to clear to see. And I've been using that a lot, because some things, you remember some things and kind of just
heat you up.
Just heat you up sometimes. And, certain situations, well, not even in all situations, pretty much, you can't see the clear picture if you're mad. So, I'm not saying you can't be mad, There's nothing wrong with being mad. But at some point, you gotta let it go, calm down, and realize what's really going on.
I'm glad you said, because I was just really asked, what advice could you give to someone dealing with a hardship experience and still want to push and still want to be successful and still want to succeed in those dreams they have, but they got all these things happening and they don't really know how to feel because their feelings and emotions is everywhere. As you just said, you heard the quote, can't see through boiling water. So just mentioning that and saying that is a platform that you had already set for yourself.
Yeah.
And this is before you even get to high school.
Yeah, I was still in middle school at that time. High school, I became a different person, honestly. I had grown so much in those past, 3 years. I had grown so much that I wasn't your average 14, 15-year-old kid, Not necessarily, like, school-based, but, like, life-wise, I wasn't your average kid, So, like, being at the school that I went to, it was primarily Hispanic. That I go to, primarily Hispanic. Not much of a struggle place for most people there, so.
Yeah, you see a lot of the fancy stuff and expensive things, and how did that make you feel?
I mean, I kind of knew what I was expecting when I went up there. Like I said, I wasn't your average 14, 15-year-old kid. So, I mean, being where the area was, being there my first couple times, I had a sense of what I was looking at. Then when school started, my freshman year, I kind of knew what to expect in a sense. I mean, you still have some shockers, some things, I was never the kid to do, like, the little kiss on the cheek thing that Hispanics do. I didn't even know what that was, to be honest, when I got there. And I didn't know Hispanic people like to shake your hand every time they see you, even if it's like 5 minutes apart. You know, so no disrespect to Hispanic people, but like I didn't know that.
You didn't know the culture.
Yeah, I wasn't used to that. I was used to like, you know, I see you one time, I shake your hand. After that, I just give you like a head nod. That's about it. But, you know, with the women too, I mean, most women, I'm be honest, in middle school, I shook your hand because I didn't like people like that. So you got a handshake or something. It was only like a select few that got like a hug.
I mean, at least there were some.
Yeah, so that was one thing that was a shocker to me.
So moving out of that community area of the schools and placing you somewhere else, it gave you the opportunity to learn multiple cultures.
Yeah, it gave me opportunities to learn in so many different ways, honestly. Academically, it kind of set my platform for me where I'm at now, because I'm be honest, in middle school, it wasn't nobody really there to like help you set a platform at that school. It was more like just to get through high school kind of place. You know, it's just get through high school and you're good. Nah, I'm not, you know, that type of kid.
You was looking for something more.
Yeah.
You already had a hunger already from the
Yeah.
experience, so you was looking for more.
In middle school, I didn't necessarily know or have a sense what I wanted to do, but I knew I was going to do something after high school. Like, I didn't know. I had no idea what my plan was, but I knew it was going to have to be something. Like, I wasn't just going to, you know, be high school and done. You know, just find a casual job. No disrespect to the people out there working casual jobs, but, you know, that was never my plan. Still isn't.
I never set that platform for you.
Yeah.
I mean, the purpose of me going through it was for you not to go through it. So when you became broken, I felt as a parent a responsibility to try to pick up the pieces. But I can't pick up pieces that I cannot find. So for me, I was in a dark of what was going on with you.
I mean, in middle school, I would say I was most broken. Then once I got to high school, everything kind of changed for me. You know, I had a plan. I knew what I wanted to do. I mean, it had been years since my grandma died. I mean, it still hurt me to this day. But
because you know she would have been there on every game.
Yeah.
First person there with their chair.
But I wasn't, you know, dwelling on it at that point. I mean, everything I was doing was still for her. You know, the people in this house. So it was no real traumatic change. I mean, what did I just say? It was a traumatic change.
Did it change the relationship between you and your brother?
Me and my brother, again, I mean, it's like not necessarily a similar situation, but it has a key point in it. And it's me and my brother both have different mindsets.
Okay.
My mindset is very, very, you know, it's very up there. You know, I have ambition to do things that most of my family members would have never even thought of trying to do. So, you know, when we talk, our conversations, I won't say they're not long, but we don't have much in common for the most part because we both have
different visions.
Yeah, me and my brother both have different visions. I mean, I love my brother to death, but we see things completely different from each other. You know,
Okay.
I don't know. We just like we talk. We fine. We cool. Like we talk. We have stuff to talk about. Just because me and him, our visions are different, we don't mean we don't
have nothing to talk about. Y'all still have brother stuff to talk about.
We always got something to talk about. It's just necessarily
it's good that the relationship remain.
Yeah.
So, it's going to be a part 2 always, because this vision, this mission, we're just getting to where it came from. The depth of the experience, so that, others can feel comfortable to say, you know what, I gotta take a look at myself.
Yeah.
Because if they can go through all that they gone through, then what's my excuse?
Yeah.
So it's more to put the platform out there, and let people know who you are, because people want to know who you are on the basis of what you're doing. You're doing things in, as what they say, move in silence. You're moving in silence. And right now, lately, what you said, you just been getting little visions and glimpses of things that you want to do. So, coming from the background, who's speaking to you.
Yeah.
And you know what you need to get it done. And it's time to break the shell. This is the break of the generation, because if we don't break it, before we end it, how many of your school friends have you lost?
A lot. I lost a lot of middle school and elementary school friends, simply because most people won't like to say it, but a change in environment. When I was, at that time, when I was with most of them kids that I've lost, most of the friends I've lost, it wasn't in the safest environment, and it wasn't in the best influential environment.
Okay.
But thankfully, I got out of that environment, and I have more influential people around me than most of those.
I was very protective
friends.
about who came into your life as well.
Yeah. So that kind of helped me, in a sense, to not be in that position.
Make better decisions.
It would also, be it that they were in that position and they're not, kind of had a effect on, their life, and it cost some of them their life.
Well, we're gonna part 2 with you. We'll do that when you got some time, because you got some things going on. Just so that they can see and hear who you are, where you come from. So therefore, everything after that, they should already know. So when the question come, as I'll ask why you do it, go back and read and listen to who I am. So we'll be back with a part 2 on Colin Bethel, and seeing who he is as a person and where he comes from.